trouble a lot as a kid. A little bit in trouble.
Do you want to make a motion to amend the agenda to include item
7C.
A proclamation to
Breast cancer awareness month. Oh, yeah. All right.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you tonight. It is Tuesday, October 1st, 2024. It is 7:30 p.m., and I'm going to call this our regularly scheduled city council meeting to order. We're going to begin by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we're going to remain standing for words of inspiration by Pastor Bob Morrissey from the church at Clawson.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Morrissey?
Thank you for letting me be here tonight. Appreciate it. And I'm going to pray. Father, thank you for our city. Thank you for the people who serve us, for the people who do so much in our community to make this a great place to live and work and worship. And Father, I just pray your blessing on our city. I can see some tension in not just our community, but all around during this election season and the different things that are going on. And I pray for peace right here in Clawson, and I pray that your will would be accomplished for our city, and I know you want good for us. And so I pray that you'd give wisdom to our leaders, and that you would help them make the decisions that you'd be pleased with, and that would help our city grow and develop in the ways that you would have it to. And so I just pray for this meeting tonight, and I pray your blessings on everybody here in Clawson. We thank you for your goodness to us. In Jesus' name I pray these things. Amen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for letting me be here. I got to go coach some basketball. So.
We want to thank you for all you do, Pastor Morrissey, you and your congregation.
Yes.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good night.
Thanks. Good evening, Michelle. May we have a roll call?
Councilmember Anderson,
Here.
Councilmember Binkowski,
Here.
Mayor Milan,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Present.
and Councilmember Shepherd.
Here.
Thank you. We are all here. We'll move on to item number 5, which is approval of our agenda.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to remove the list of bills from the consent agenda and also move to add an item 9F, discussion of DDA membership.
Support.
And Madam Mayor, I'd like to add to an item 7C, a proclamation to recognize October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Support.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
So we're first voting on Councilmember Anderson's and then on the other one, right? Or did
Well,
was he
this way,
amending?
this way.
Was it a second?
Were you amending his?
Yeah, okay.
Amendment first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski,
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Okay. Then part 2.
So to have a discussion, are you removing the bills and putting them someplace else? Is that what your intention was, or you just,
I just want to talk about them because I've got questions.
So-
we could put them at 9, AA, I guess.
So for clarity, you're amending it to not just remove it, but to move it to later in the agenda?
Yeah, so we can discuss it.
Okay.
Michelle?
Councilmember Binkowski,
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, we've amended our agenda to add a proclamation recognizing October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. That will be under item 7C. We will go to item 9, create 9F, which will discuss DDA membership, and then we'll go to 9G, which will be a list of the bills. Okay, moving on to public comment for items on the agenda. If you're here this evening and you'd like to speak to anything that we have on our agenda, we welcome you to come to the podium, and we'll give you 3 minutes and ask that you give your name and address. And not seeing anyone come forward, we will move from public comment to item number 7, which is proclamations and presentations. First up, we have Annika Norris from Oakland County. She's a principal planner, and she's from the Oakland County Economic Development Department and Main Street, Oakland County. She's here today to give a presentation regarding our Main Street accreditation. Annika, thanks for coming back to see us. I know you were here last time. We appreciate your double duty.
I appreciate you allowing me to be here. I just had a few things that I prepared for tonight. Thank you so much again for allowing me to be here and present your accreditation certificate to the DDA at a council meeting. We think it's extremely important to do because the council is what created the DDA. And those two organizations working together, it's extremely important and the only way for a DDA to get things done. So who we are, Main Street America leads a collaborative movement with partners and grassroots leaders that advance shared prosperity, create resilient economies, and improve quality of life throughout place-based economic development and community preservation in downtowns and neighborhood commercial districts across the country. Oakland County Main Street is the only countywide Main Street coordinating program. We have 28 communities that participate in the program and 12 communities that are at the level that Clawson is of select level. Being select level means that you take a few extra steps across the way to submit your stats to the coordinating program, which we work for in Oakland County. We're the coordinating program, and then those stats are then sent out to the national program. And there's a few more things I'll get to here in a quick minute that have to be done in order to get the accreditation. Nationally, there are close to 1,200 programs, of which 800 are a select level like Clawson. For more than 40 years, Main Street America has helped build economic power in downtowns and neighborhood commercial districts through the Main Street approach, which looks at design, organization, promotions, and economic vitality. It's a nice overlay to a DDA district, the DDA providing the funding and laws, and then the Main Street provides that economic development tool and overall organization in order to run that program. And the thing I love about the Main Street program is it's a grassroots organization, so it's from the bottom up. It needs volunteers to help drive it because, as many of us know, even though DDAs get that money to reinvest in that district, it's not always a ton of money, and a lot of times big infrastructure projects are done with the money leaving little left. So real quick, the 2023 impact from 800 select level programs across the nation is $5.68 billion reinvested locally, 6,630 net new businesses, 35,162 net gain in jobs, 10,556 buildings were rehabbed, and 1.6 million volunteer hours were clocked. That's pretty huge because that's a whole lot of money that was saved within Main Street programs, having the community participate and volunteer and giving back to their overall communities. That's pretty huge, and that's something to be really proud of. So just about finished here. Real quick, to go, the accreditations standards were developed by Main Street America with coordinating programs like ours that outline what it means to be a highly successful Main Street program. And they set a path for growth and development for newer programs. So with select levels, annual program assessments are an important opportunity to look back at the last year and then kind of figure out where you're going to go for the next year. I like to call it a team building exercise, so everybody looks at what was done and where they can do better. Where they've done really great, it shows your successes. And And then just real quick, some of the things that need to be done. You have to have a broad-based community commitment to overall revitalization and/or maintenance and of the downtown. You have to have inclusive leadership and organizational capacity, which means you have to have a director of that organization. You have to have diversified funding, which also includes grants. The DDAs have the funding, grants and other things are provided. Strategy-driven programming, and then preservation-based economic development. So, again, I'm really happy to be here. I love working with Clausen and the DDA team. I think you guys have done a lot over the years, and it does take a lot of work to do this, and we appreciate the work you do to make downtown Clausen better. So I'd like to present you the accreditation certificate.
You can take one from there.
I mean,
We can step forward.
you can. I got it. I think I have a good one.
All right.
I'd like to thank quickly Main Street and Main Street Oakland County for all the support they give us. There are technical assistant funds that come to us to help us fund a particular project, something that we feel is really important that year. But all the time, and Annika is kind of our rep person, is always on the phone, always willing to help. They also, Main Street Oakland County, as our county program, goes out and finds sponsors within the county for grant opportunities for our small businesses. So just this year, just in the last few months, 2 of our businesses received 2 different grants. Warp 9 got a grant to help with their purchasing a new point of sale system, and Zioli's applied and got a grant to help with buying new patio furniture. Those are huge for a small business to get an injection of $3,000 or $4,000, and that's because these people go out and they talk to Genesis Credit Union, and they talk to Michigan State University Credit Union, and brought them in to create grant opportunities that we can give to small businesses. So I thank Annika and Main Street Oakland County for helping us help our small businesses. It's wonderful. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have our Oakland County Commissioner / Youth Assistance Leader. I don't know what the title is, Penny Lubes, I'm so sorry. Chair. She's the chair of our Oakland County Youth Assistance. She's here for a presentation for us this evening also.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us. Youth, give my usual spiel. Youth assistance started in 1953 in Oakland County, started about 1960 in Clausen. Youth assistance is tri-sponsored by the city, the school, and the county, with the city support through a monetary donation of $6,200 a year. The school provides in-kind services of office space, and the county pays a salary of a master's level clinician who provides counseling and other services. So tonight, I wanted to introduce you to our new caseworker, Paul Tissio, who has found a home in Clausen. He's here on Thursdays and Fridays. So youth assistance does a variety of different tasks. One is family recreation. We're gearing up for the Trick or Treat Trail on October 20th now. That's wildly successful with a number of local businesses and community groups as sponsors giving out treats on the wood chip trail around the Clausen Park. And our Parks and Rec Department provides the donuts and cider underneath the pavilion. Other family recreation activities are trips to Tigers game, to the water park, stage crafters. So Our goal, our mission is to keep families, to build strong families, which builds a strong community. We also have family education, we have skill building, and we offer therapy, we offer juvenile jail diversion. I'll go back to our counseling, our therapy. So parent can refer a student, student can refer themselves, or a police officer can refer someone to youth assistance. So we do many, many more things. So we fundraise throughout the year. In the summer, we send kids to camp. On April 9th, 2025, we're going to have our Youth Recognition Night at Hunter, so you'll hear more about that in the new year. But I wanted to introduce Paul and let him tell you a little bit about youth assistance and how it's going there.
Thank you very much, and good evening, council members. Very happy to be here and speak to you in this role today. So yes, I'm newly assigned to Clawson Youth Assistance Office, serving here Thursday and Friday. I'm also serving as caseworker or neighboring community Hazel Park for a couple of days in the week as well. And so going back to the roots of youth assistance. We hope certainly as time goes on, perhaps again, maybe we'll have a caseworker full-time in every youth assistance office. But at any rate, as Penny mentioned, I would just want to reiterate that the roots of youth assistance, why did we begin? Way back in yesteryear, there was the chief judge of Oakland County, Judge Moore, who was seeing a lot of young people coming through the court doors, and he was thinking, is there some way that we can intervene before we get to this point? And the idea of youth assistance as a prevention program began. And it, as we mentioned, it started in Hazel Park, but then spread to every district in Oakland County. So I've been privileged to serve also in Rochester Youth Assistance. Prior to that, though, I've been in service of many departments in the county, including juvenile probation and the court psychological clinic. So my career has actually been always in service to the youth and families of Oakland County. I don't do it just for the fame and fortune, but also because I care about people. And Clawson is obviously, I know from experience, Clawson is a great place to live and be. I've brought my own kids to the fireworks. We've enjoyed services at Guardian Angels. I've always felt like at home and comfortable here in Clawson, so it's great to be a part now. We exist because you help support us, and we can't thank you enough. The sponsorship, certainly money, but also just the word. We're always, there's an ongoing quest in youth assistance to make us not the best kept secret in Oakland County. We want everybody to know youth assistance is here, and we want to help. I should clarify, I think a lot of my work is helping families connect to the right resources. We do provide short-term counseling and casework services. It's not equivalent to the type of psychotherapy you might get in the community. That's something that would help a family connect with. But certainly in terms of, we have, there's so many risk factors to youth now in terms of their healthy development. So we know we're still fighting substance abuse, whether it be vaping or marijuana, or alcohol. School truancy has been an issue ever since the pandemic. We're still trying to catch up and provide resources to a lot of youth that were in an unprecedented, as we know, situation. And so we want to connect with those youth to help them get back on track to a better future. I wanted to just to note some more. Another element of youth assistance I think is critical is the model is pretty brilliant actually when they decided how are we going to make this work. Volunteers are a huge part of it. We all take ownership of each youth assistance office. So our volunteer council with our chair and other council members of our board of volunteers, they help with me to figure out what can we do to help the community, what are the needs. Let's put together programs and services that could speak to that or help families. And those, we don't think of it a lot, but those hours, all that time spent is valuable. And we're not seeing the cost, but it has a real value that we end up not paying. We don't have to pay later. For example, if a youth becomes involved with formal court and needs to do probation or a program, those are all things that then, as a community, we have to face those costs. So prevention is a great, as they say, and now it's prevention worth a pound of cure. So I look forward to serving Clawson Youth Assistance and Clawson community together, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. You have such a positive, uplifting, encouraging spirit, and I think that's great that you're able to support our youth and their families because, as you said, we just need more support everywhere we go, right? Anyone that can get encouragement is good, and thank you for what you do for all of our people. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. I did want to add that Paul and I worked at the same agency together years ago, and we both started out as home-based therapists. So we do have a wealth of experience, and we are surrounded by positive people, including our mayor, who is on our board and shall forever be known now as an arts and craft queen. So Youth Assistance had a table of crafts at Claws and Paws and at the Fall Festival. And the table was very, very popular, ongoing, and Mayor Milan brought many crafts that were interesting and the kids wanted to do. So I wanted to say thank you for that also.
Oh, my pleasure. And the best part was watching the families work together, right? That's what this community is. I think that's why it's so valuable, right? That's the most important thing, is just to watch people come together. So thanks for all that you do, and it's an honor to serve on that board.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Okay. We're going to move on to item number 7C, which is a proclamation recognizing October 2024 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, an annual campaign to increase awareness about this disease and to raise funds for research into its cause, prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and ultimately finding a cure. And whereas while considerably progress has been made in the fight against breast cancer, it remains the most common type of cancer in the world and second leading cause of cancer deaths among women in the United States. And whereas in 2023, an estimated 300,590 Americans were diagnosed with invasive breast cancer, along with 51,400 new cases of non-invasive breast cancer, an estimated 43,780 people will lose their lives to metastatic breast cancer. And whereas more than 1 in 8 women and 1 in 833 men in the United States will be diagnosed with invasive breast cancer, and whereas through research and advocacy, advances have been made in the fight against breast cancer, including an increased rate of early detection and a 99% 5-year survival rate for localized breast cancer. And whereas during this month, we should reaffirm our commitment to supporting breast cancer research and to educating all citizens about its risk factors, detection, and treatment, as well as the importance of regular screenings, as early detection increases the effectiveness of available treatments. And whereas as we display pink ribbons and wear pink clothing to raise awareness, we also recognize more than 4 million breast cancer survivors, those currently battling the disease, and their families and friends who are a tireless source of love and encouragement. We commend the efforts of our medical professionals and researchers working to find a cure for this deadly disease, and we honor the lives lost to breast cancer. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Paula Milan, Mayor of Clawson, do hereby proclaim October 2024 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the city of Clawson and encourage all of our citizens and businesses to wear or display pink to support those impacted by breast cancer. Thank you. Now, we will move on to item number 8, which is consideration of approving the following consent agenda, which consists of minutes of the regular city council meeting held on Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. Would someone like to make a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting held on Tuesday, September 17th, 2024 as presented.
Support. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Oh, yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski.
Yes.
Thank you. We've approved our consent agenda, and we'll move to item number 9, which is new business. Under new business, our first item is consideration of approving the City of Clawson Senior Center Smart Drug and Alcohol Policy.
Madam Mayor, I move the City of Clawson Senior Transportation, Drug, and Alcohol Policy be approved.
Support.
Thank you. We have Scott Jennings here, our Director of Parks and Recreation and the Senior Center. If you'd like to come forward, or did you have something first, Mr.
I'll just read the
Raker?
summary, and if
Yeah,
Scott has
sorry.
anything to add. So the policy
Work.
is to update the current SMART drug and alcohol policy in order to meet the criteria specific to the SMART program. SMART provided us the minimum requirements necessary to stay in compliance. This document combines those requirements with our specific program and has been reviewed by SMART and City Attorney Rennis Newshy. The final requirement is that City Council adopt this policy.
Thank you. Mr. Jennings, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, there's a blueprint for how we set up the policy, and blueprint doesn't really describe how detailed what they give us is. And we just add the specifics for Clawson. There's an occasional spot where we have an either or, but it's pretty much a SMART-driven guideline that specifically tells us how we need to operate the program. This is a new quarter, so this morning I had logged in and found out that we had somebody that needed to go get tested, and so the policy is functioning, and we're looking forward to the continued great opportunity we have with SMART to provide transportation for our residents, primarily seniors.
It is extremely detailed. I've seen lots of them. It's very detailed. And lots of reasons people need to be tested, just for those of you who just heard that comment. There's several reasons, right? So it's
Yes,
important to know.
and this policy is slightly different than the ones that govern our DPW and our police officers. So it's a different testing program through the Department of Transportation from the Federal Transportation Authority.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any questions? Well, thank you for coming before us today. And while you're standing there, yes, you were amazing on Saturday in the rain, and all of your people were amazing, just so you know. Right? I want that pointed out.
Thank you, and it was way more them than me, but I'll take it.
I would say teamwork, right? Let's see, we have roll call, please, Michelle?
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski,
Yes.
Mayor Milan.
Thank you so much. We have just approved our smart drug and alcohol policy.
Thank you.
Have a great evening. Moving on to item 9B, we have consideration of awarding the bid to the lowest qualified bidder, Luigi Ferdinandi and Son Cement Company, Inc., for the 2024 Fall Concrete Pavement Repair Program.
I move the bid for the 2024 Fall Pavement Repair Program be awarded to the lowest qualified bidder, Luigi Fernandi and Son Cement Company, in the amount of $224,895. Be approved as presented.
Support.
Thank you. Mr. Raker?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is the city's 5th iteration of the miscellaneous concrete and road repair program. Back in May of this year, during discussion regarding the 4th iteration of this program, council made it clear their direction to conduct a competitive bid. Following public advertisement, the city received 10 bids for the reference project on September 18, 2024. The lowest responsible bid is Luigi Ferdinandi and Son Cement Company Incorporated with a total bid of $204,450. AEW has vetted this contractor and is recommending award to them. In addition, AEW recommends a 10% construction contingency of $20,445 for a total bid award of $224,895. This iteration of the miscellaneous concrete program encompasses 17 locations consisting of approximately 20,000 square feet. Note, as this is a new contractor with which we do not have experience, additional costs will be incurred for AEW to conduct design engineering for bid specifications along with contract administration, construction observation, and material testing estimated at $47,900.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple. There's the additional 47,900. I assume we're going to be approving that in addition to the 224,000.
That is already factored into the capital funds for local roads, and also it comes out of local roads in for the miscellaneous concrete. However, the engineering overage there is going to come out of the capital funds for roads.
Okay, so the funds are already available then?
Correct.
Okay. Just looking at the bid list of the 10 that bid, Luigi Ferdinandi is the lowest, but we don't have a relationship with them. Thus, we have to pay the 47,000, call it a surcharge, for lack of a better term. So on the list of 10, how many of these do we have a relationship that would not require this surcharge, and how many do we? Because that kind of factors into the overall cost.
Mike, I'll defer to Mike from AEW and Trevor from the DPW.
Good evening. So to answer your question, the 8th bidder on the list, Hartwell Cement Company, they've been doing your concrete pavement repairs for the last 10 years. There was a contract awarded back in 2014, I believe. And then there were contract modifications made every year and added to their contract, and they just kept getting that work. And I believe Hartwell only increased their prices maybe like 3 times over that 10-year span. But, based on the direction we were given, when we added the last bit of work to Hartwell's contract, we bid this one out, and Luigi ended up being the low bidder.
I'm curious, so the relationship we have with Hartwell, in other words, if we were to award it to them, would we be spared the $47,000 surcharge or not?
I think the DPW's got a comfort level with them, being that they've been in the city for 10 years, and when Hartwell has an issue, they call Trevor or Ryan, and they work together and work out the issue together. So at that point, they don't need the full-time inspection.
Okay. So I guess my question is, so Luigi, they require the additional 47,000. Hartwell does not. What about the other 8 on the list? How do they fall?
Well, they haven't performed pavement repair programs in the city, so I mean, Trevor, you might want to answer that question, but I don't think they have the comfort level with them like they do with Hartwell.
So, yes, we have the comfort level with Hartwell. We've been with them for, as I said, 10 years. There's also, we already had a contract in place with them that we're operating off of. So that plays a big role. This is now a new contract, new specs, everything changes. Therefore, we want oversight, and we can't be on these job sites the whole time they're working. It's not feasible for Ryan and myself to do that. With Hartwell, we didn't have to be because we had a contract. They knew our expectations. They knew what they had to do in order to fulfill what we were asking. Outside of that, I haven't worked with any of these other contractors. Maybe a couple for CDBG, someone last year.
We worked with Luigi.
It was Luigi, but they also had inspection on site for those. So
Okay.
It's just a matter of we need to trust who's doing the work and the work's being done correctly, and so.
So it's safe to say that the comfort level that would spare us the 47,000 only exists with Hartwell at this point, not the other 9?
So just to clarify, the full 47,000, that includes full-time inspection and contract administration. The contract administration portion will still be there, because we'll still be processing estimates and everything for the city.
Which is roughly what percentage of that 47,000?
I think I had it.
Oh, could be here, right?
It's right down somewhere. I'm missing it out of my packet. Yeah. So the as-bid construction estimate that was in your packets, I lumped together the construction engineering, the contract admin, and the construction observation together. That's roughly together, there's about 15% of the construction cost. The contract admin would probably be maybe 5%.
Madam Mayor, I just want to make sure I understand this. The extra 47,000 here, it says design engineering, contract administration, construction observation, and construction material testing. Am I to understand that when we hire Hartwell, we don't do construction observation or construction material testing?
We don't have full-time observation. The observation, we're not paying AW for, that would be Ryan and myself. And that's where the comfort level of the communication between Hartwell and us works out, where when we feel we need to be on site, we will. So any underground work, stuff like that, we'll be there to see what's going on.
Okay.
And then the material testing is, we know where they're getting their material, we know what we're getting from them.
Okay, so just to be clear, if we approve this, we're gonna get construction material testing, construction observation, make sure everything's done to spec.
Correct.
Correct. All right, thank you.
And so and they were the lowest bid, we can see by far. For the next project, and we bid it out again, and they're the lowest bid again, we wouldn't need to do that additional work because you guys would have already done a project with them, right?
Not necessarily. It's all based off of how it goes. Like I said, it was 10 years of working with Hartwell to get to that point.
Sure,
So a new bid, a new contract, and to be honest, new bid, new contract, these numbers all could change again and could be a whole nother company. So
And the personnel at Hartwell, I'm sure, has changed over the 10 years, and things have changed, the relationship have changed, you guys have changed, the people involved have changed. And so, you know,
everything changes.
right,
Yeah.
right. So, yeah.
Yep.
When you say construction observation, you do not mean a person at the site for the entirety of the project?
Yes.
Yes.
So is that just like a project manager? Are you talking a civil engineer? What are we talking about capabilities?
You're talking about an engineering aide, a construction observer,
That has knowledge in,
concrete.
yeah,
He's got to make sure the contractor's, excavating right, removing right, not chipping the existing pavement that we're gonna tie into, putting in bars correctly, making sure the depth of the concrete's gonna be proper, all that stuff. Measuring, sketching, recording.
but wouldn't Luigi Ferdinandi and Son Cement Co. come with references from other municipalities perhaps that he's worked for?
Yeah.
That would be able to say, I understand each project is uniquely different. However, scope of work materials, application, installation, extraction, all those things should be conducted within the same parameters, right?
Yes, and
Every
we
single
check the
time.
references, and we actually, Luigi works on program in Mount Clemens. We've done, I think they worked there for the last 3 years. So AEW provides inspection for that community.
So do you, AEW, as our engineers, have confidence in them to have them work without this additional cost? Or do you not have confidence in them, which is why that's in
I
this?
haven't worked with them personally.
Okay.
I can only go off the references that I called, and, you know, their communities require inspection.
Speaking on behalf of the DPW, I would want the inspection there.
Yeah, I'm not trying to shortcut anything. I'm just looking at like people who perform this work on a day in, day out basis would have to adhere to standards, right? There's just industry standards that we would hope they would do, right? There are people who cut corners, but we would hope that we're not in.
Contractors that like to cut corners.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I work for an engineering firm, I hear it every day, but, yeah.
And weather's, you know, weather's gonna be changing soon, so contractors are gonna be rushing to get things done.
So this person that you're going to hire to observe,
Well, they're already hired.
they're hired by whom?
They work for me.
They work for you, and so you're familiar with what their work product is. And you've done this, so I'm sorry if this has been asked and answered, but you've other communities ask for this sort of observance. It's a common practice?
Yes.
Okay.
For example, the Washington Broadacre project, we have a full-time inspector out there watching the water main work, watching the removals.
And so even though that's been done by Hartwell,
No, that's a different contractor.
a different contractor, so it's something that you guys commonly provide?
Correct.
And something you would have, if the gentlemen at the DPW weren't so comfortable with Hartwell, you would probably recommend that it be used as a common practice?
Yes, if
Okay.
they're not comfortable with the contractor and they need someone to observe them, and the DPW doesn't have the staff to do it themselves, they'll ask us to fill in.
So it's a common practice used in many cities?
Yes.
Gotcha, okay.
So may I ask, Trevor, are you, I know Hartwell did not come in close to our number, but by the time we factor this percentage, this extra into their bid, we're almost at the same number, except we would have a little bit more, you said 15% more, whatever, for the other things that we'd have to pay for under either contract. Would you prefer we go with Hartwell, is my question.
I prefer we go with whoever you guys wish.
That was I was trying to help you here. But because I do see good in going to a new contractor, because then we have options, because contractors are often busy and we can't, just because we have a project doesn't mean we can have whom we want, because their schedule may not allow for that. So there's really nothing wrong with going with someone new for that reason. But I also, if the dollars are really, really close, I would like to give you that comfort level of having someone that you're comfortable working with.
I'm comfortable with AEW and they will be on site, so I don't have any discomfort with going with this contractor.
Good. Good answer. Okay. Any other questions?
As far as your comfort with the actual administration and construction itself, what about the results in the long term and anything resulting to the warranty of their product?
Well, so each of our projects that we bid out for you have a 2-year maintenance and guarantee bond. So once we close that out, they've got 2 years. We'll be back in 2 years or before 2 years, and we'll take a look at their patches, see if anything's wrong with them. If there is, they have to fix them.
Okay, and between Hartwell and the Luigi and Sons, are they anything remarkable between the two of them?
Like I said, I haven't worked with Luigi on patching, but I have worked with them on multiple sidewalk programs, and their work was good. Yep. They were your CDBG contractor last year that did the ramps right over here.
Oh, okay.
But you did say they worked with the AEW on other projects, so
In
you're.
other communities, yep.
Yeah, so you do have confidence there
Yes.
based on past performance, which is good.
Yeah, we've checked all their references that they've given us. If you guys need a copy of that, I can provide that.
That's your specialty, right? Okay, anything else? Let's have a roll call then. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming in this evening.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes. Thank you. We have just awarded the 2024 Fall Pavement Repair Program to Luigi Ferdinandi and Son Cement Company in the amount of $224,895. Moving on to item number 9C, we have consideration of awarding the bid to the lowest qualified bidder, Great Lakes Contracting LLC, for the 2023 program year Community Development Block Grant Program.
I move the bid for the 23 program year CDBG funds for the ADA Sidewalk Ramp Improvement Project be awarded to the lowest qualified bidder, Great Lakes Contracting LLC, in the amount of $50,805, with a 10% construction contingency in the amount of $5,080, for a total award of $55,885 be approved as presented.
Support.
That was a lot of support. Good job, Mr. Ricker. Nick? Sorry, Nick.
This project consists of removing and replacing the sidewalk ramps located at South Main and Chippewa, South Main and Tecumseh, South Main and Nakota, South Main and Walper, South Main and Charlevoix, South Main and Tacoma, and South Main and Jefferson. All new sidewalk ramps will be constructed in accordance with the current American Disabilities Act ADA regulations. This project is part of the Oakland County Community Development Block Grant CDBG program with city funding support as well. The amount that CDBG is funded for the project is $30,692, and the remaining cost of $20,113 will be covered via the sidewalk repair program. And I would just like to point out a brief mistake that I had in here, that $20,000 does not include the construction contingencies that is in the motion. And so the contingencies will also be coming out of the sidewalk repair program if necessary.
Okay. Mr. Binkowski?
Just to be clear, we're getting a grant for 2/3 of this project, or 3/5.
Yes,
Okay.
if that math checks out, but yeah.
Okay. I just, I see people on Facebook saying we don't apply for grants, and yes, we do apply for grants.
Yes, and last Friday I attended this year's Oakland County CDBG workshop program that we're required to attend, and so next council meeting we'll have on the agenda to set the public hearing for the next application. We're working on some potential projects that we'll be discussing when we set that public hearing, and then during the public hearing, we'll present a project that we'll hope to get your support on.
Okay.
Any other questions? Michelle?
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Thank you. We have just awarded Great Lakes Contracting LLC our CDBG funds in the amount of $55,885. Moving on to the next item, which is consideration of a public hearing and a second reading and adoption of ordinance number 786 to amend the Clausen Code of Ordinances, Article 2, Division 1, Section 2.31 to 2.38.
So move.
Support.
Mr. Ricker?
Thank you, ma'am. As stated in the city attorney's letter, the ordinance review committee held several productive meetings focusing on the updating of antiquated and misaligned portions of our code of ordinances in light of the changes brought forth by our new charter. Ordinance sections 2-31 through 2-38 were recommended to move out of committee for council's consideration. The majority of the changes are focused on gender neutrality and minor time changes. The most significant change was the addition of a paragraph within section 2-35, which was removed at the September 3rd, 2024 council meeting. That was a substantive change, and the first reading was held September 17th, 2024. And this is your second reading.
Thank you. So we need to have a public hearing. We'll open a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak? I will close the public hearing. Any council comments?
Yes, I have a comment. At the last council meeting, I raised my objections to the revised version of this ordinance, and the mayor accused me of lying by quipping that's not true. I decided that I needed to clearly lay out why it is true and why I oppose this ordinance in its current form. Back on September 3rd, the ordinance included the following language. Council members shall have the right to submit items to be considered for the agenda. Such items shall be added to the council referral items section of the agenda and shall require a second to be considered. Upon the motion passing, then the city management shall solicit the necessary supporting material from the administration and will add said item to future city council meetings. The city manager asked that this be removed. Mayor Milan complied with his request and made the motion. Councilmember Anderson seconded it. Councilmember Bukowski and I reiterated the importance of including this verbiage in the ordinance so that council members may properly represent the community by making sure topics are brought to the light of day. The verbiage would allow the topic to be placed on the council meeting agenda and be published on the council agenda so that the community could weigh in during the first public comment opportunity on their concerns or support of the item. This would secure that when the council discusses whether or not to instruct the city manager to gather the supporting material, they would be able to consider how the public wanted the item addressed and to therefore address the concerns in a timely manner. The argument brought forth by Mayor Milan and Councilmember Anderson and Councilmember Shepherd was that the motion could be made in a meeting and discuss whether or not to include the item on a future council meeting. However, this does not give the community the proper warning that the discussion will be had, so council will not have the proper information to act on the will of people, and then will also address it 2 to 3 weeks later, if at all. To me, that isn't doing the job that we were elected to do to represent the public. The simple fact that the genesis of removing this item came from the city administration in the first place speaks volumes to the desire to roadblock the council's ability to represent the community. For that reason, I will be voting no again on approving this ordinance in the form that it is today, as it is missing an important piece.
Well, that was great. Does anyone have any comments? Other comments?
I will second Mayor Pro Tem Moffitt's comments as well. I think this is a very, minor thing that could be done to help inform the public of what we plan to bring to the table. I mean, I've added a item to this agenda this week that the public was not made aware of, and yeah, they might hear about it eventually, but it'd be nice if they had advanced knowledge so they could speak on it. So, thanks.
Just for clarification, when you seconded Ms. Moffitt's motion, were you also referring to me as a liar? Just for reference. I would like that noted.
Sure, if you'd like me to say that,
I would
then
expect
we'll
that.
go with that.
No
then.
problem. Anyone else? Anything else?
I guess I'd just like to say this. The city manager does not report to any one or even two members of the council. He reports to the entire council.
Agreed.
By giving him the responsibility to compile the agenda, we're also giving him a certain level of authority. Now, if we have the need to add additional items to the agenda, there's no problem with bringing it up as a motion, getting it seconded, and then being voted on. And yes, you wait 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks for people in the city to go, oh, interesting, the next meeting is going to have an agenda item. I got 8 days to wait, and then when that meeting packet comes out on Thursday, I will eagerly be ready to look at it. That's 2 weeks for the public to look at it, which is a lot more transparency than potentially a council member with the assistance of a second one dumping something in on Mr. Raker's agenda on Thursday before the meeting. So I think the current system provides pretty good transparency. And also the fact that any agenda item would have to be voted on 2 weeks in advance acts as a type of filter so that you don't have two council members just dumping agenda items onto the agenda, again, 6 days in advance. So,
It also stymies the the expediency with which things can be addressed by putting it off 2 to 3 weeks, by your own estimation.
I totally agree, it does put it off by 2 weeks. Of course, even in the normal process, it'll be 6 days. So yes, there's an additional 8 days of delay, which I don't believe any agenda item this council is going to add is so hot and flaming that it needs an extra 8 days. Again, the key is visibility and transparency. The current process does that if it is followed.
Agree to disagree.
I would like to say
Likewise.
that the system has worked, and one additional thing we didn't mention is this body does have the option to add items to the agenda during a meeting. So if something were extremely important, we could do that. And we're all concerned with representing our residents. We just all do it in different ways.
Madam Mayor, again, just to reiterate on that we do also have the ability to have a special meeting if so needed to address something quickly.
Yes, thank you. Roll call, please, Michelle.
Councilmember Binkowski,
No.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
No.
Councilmember Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
We have just adopted our second reading of ordinance number 786 to amend the Code of Clausen Ordinances, Division 2, Article 2, Division 1, Section 2.31 to 238. And we'll move on to item 9E, which is consideration of authorizing the distribution of the Downtown Master Plan update in accordance with the Michigan Planning Enabling Act.
I'm sorry. It's so moved.
Support. Okay, I'm moving support. Nick?
A lot of excitement for this one.
Absolutely.
During the August 13th, 2024 regular planning commission meeting, the commission voted to forward the draft downtown master plan update to the city council to distribute to neighboring communities and interested agencies, and that a public hearing be set for the next available planning commission meeting after the statutory review period elapses. Per the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, the statutory review period is 63 days to submit any comments regarding the downtown master plan update or any update to the master plan. Once the 63 days has passed, the planning commission will then conduct a public hearing on the proposed downtown master plan update. And then after that public hearing, they would approve the downtown master plan update. Then it would come to city council for their review, your review. And then from there, if the plan is acceptable, would be approved at that point. And then the draft plan was included in the cover sheet via a link. Since we didn't hear from anyone, I imagine there was no issues accessing that link, and I did test it a few times over the last few days to ensure that it was working, so.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
Just as far as it did say in the introduction, it does say purpose, but purpose, I don't know, was it necessarily spelled out as here's the purpose of what this is, or is it implied in the course of the introduction?
I don't know if it was necessarily defined like that, it was more implied.
Okay.
As that's kind of the general consensus of the master plan, it's, you have to kind of navigate sometimes through the document to connect some of the pieces there, just the way it's formatted with the goals and objectives, you may have to jump around a little bit, but yes.
Okay.
Okay, roll call, please, Michelle.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski.
Yes.
Thank you. The downtown master plan update will be authorized for distribution in accordance with the Michigan Planning Enabling Act.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We have an added item, which is item F, which our Councilmember Binkowski wanted to bring up. He wanted to talk about DDA membership.
Madam Mayor, I move to set a public hearing pursuant to MCL Section 125-4204, subsection 4, at the October 15th, 2024 City Council meeting regarding the removal of Marty Junkaj from the Clausen Downtown Development Authority for non-attendance at regularly scheduled DDA meetings. Proper notice of the public hearing shall be sent to Mr. Junkaj.
Mr. Binkowski, I'm just going to say, you should really put your efforts into other things. And is that appropriate?
Is there support?
Support.
Okay, comments? I've served on the DDA. I know that there are people who have remained on the DDA for nearly 2 years whom I never saw once, and no one had a problem with them being there. And you were at the last meeting. You know that Marty was present at our last meeting and gave a little bit of history why he was unable to attend previously and about his desire to continue to serve. You have been a thorn in the side of many of our appointments, and you have a specific role. Could you please just state that role?
Mr. Junkaj has missed the first 6 meetings of the year. I'm sorry, I did not happen to hear his presentation about why he missed. But what I would like to do is make sure that the people who sign up for boards attend the board meetings.
Well, I don't know how you can do that. Mr. Nushai, would you please tell me if this is appropriate?
There is a section of our ordinance as well as there's an MCL, I'm sorry, I don't know the number by heart or anything like that, but that does allow for such a meeting. Notice is the requirement. So a meeting public hearing can occur.
Okay.
And what would happen at the hearing?
A resident/willing participant would be embarrassed.
Mr. Nushai, what would happen at the meeting?
So at the meeting, I presume notice will be sent out both to the gentleman that is a member of the board, as well as obviously notice will be properly put out for the community, and then he can come in and state whatever he needs to state, and the council then would make a determination. I know on top of my head that meeting, that public hearing is reviewable by the circuit court, just for your awareness.
So he would come, people would talk, or whatever anyone wanted to say, and then would there be like an obligation for us to say, okay, we're going to keep him, and we're going to have him go? That would be the intent of it.
Yes, ma'am, and I'll look more into it. I apologize. I don't know this on top of my head, but I will look more into it and I'll provide you the information. But yes, ultimately, yes.
I'd be happy to read the section of the statute. Pursuant to notice and after having been given an opportunity to be heard, a member of the board, meaning the DDA board, may be removed for cause by the governing body, meaning us. Removal of a member is subject to review by the circuit court.
So if I may, we have processes for members on other committees that are lacking attendance.
Yes.
Right? So if I recall, is that across the board, or is it particular to each of the committees?
The MCL applies across the board.
Okay.
Whereas we have certain sections of our ordinance that are specific in nature. We have one that, my memory serves me well, deals with library members. We have in our planning commission, I think the bylaws have such a statement. And then there's a couple of other instances of it, but nothing that applies across the board in our court of ordinances.
Okay. I've come across this in the past where there was a member on planning commission that didn't attend for a number of meetings. I had to make sure that I documented those meetings that they were not in attendance, and then I placed a request to the mayor at the time to have them removed. And I think that's what the process was, that I couldn't necessarily do that as chair at the time, that it still have to go through for approval by the mayor.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the Downtown Development Authority portion of our Code of Ordinances, and it says under subsection 34.75, subsection D, removal of members pursuant to notice and an opportunity to be heard, a member of the board may be removed for cause by the city council. Removal of a member is subject to review by the circuit court.
Okay.
So it specifically says the city council as a body.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I guess it extends beyond just this one person for some of our lack of quorum that we've been seeing, and that needs to be sent out squarely to each of the committees involved, that, we can't just have bare quorum or no quorum at all, and having the business of the city be dictated by those people who have requested to be part of this process not be present.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, this kind of thing happens among several committees. I noticed that on the DDA, which has failed to have quorum at several meetings this year, that this one individual was absent at all 6 of the first 6 meetings. And so that's why, it's not like there was 2 or 3 other people I probably could have picked out as well,
Except you wouldn't.
because I picked out the one that with the most egregious violation. So I'm hoping that maybe it'll help spark attendance to continue at these meetings.
And if the gentleman were to say, okay, fine, I quit, then we just wouldn't have the meeting, or is there, we would still have the meeting to discuss it, or accept his resignation, or?
You'd accept his resignation, otherwise, in order to remove, it says for cause.
To me, there'd be no meeting, there'd be no reason for the public hearing if there was no, the person was not a member of
Okay.
the commission.
If he resigns, yes.
I think I would ask council to not support this motion, and the fact that it was brought up sends a message in and of itself that the administration can reinforce to all the boards and commissions, because to both of your points, this has been a problem on more than just one board.
I would just, like to see an effort from, if there was some rationale, what it was, give them that opportunity, right? I wouldn't necessarily want to go through this process. And there may be a certain circumstance in the future where it may be appropriate, but if they don't attend, this is basically, you're on notice now. You need to be present on these, and you need not just be present, but participate.
I think you
A
put
different
all of them on
process.
notice.
That there should be a respectful process prior to that. And Mr. Pinkowski, you were sitting in the room for that last meeting. I'm sure you heard the parts of the meeting that you wanted to hear. He was extremely clear, and you can talk to him if you would want me to stop. I'll stop, because only one person should speak at a time. Do you want me to stop?
It sounded like you were accusing him of lying, and I was kind of shocked by that. He said he didn't hear it.
He probably doesn't need you to speak for him. I'm just going to.
I was
assume
just
he's pretty good on his own.
shocked at the
But,
accusation.
I would just say you were there, and I would just ask you to go back and play tape, if nothing else. And I do have a problem beating up on our people who are willing to serve. I have a huge problem with that. If you go back and watch the tape from that day, he has been absent. He has some extreme, I don't want to talk about the man in front of him. He had valid reasons for not being here. He came before the meeting and he stated emphatically that he's in. He had good dialogue during that meeting. He's in. He's a small business owner that needs representation as much as anyone else on that board. And I'm not for promoting anyone who's not going to play, and I don't want to promote people who will not play nice. I just don't want us to send a message that this is who this body is, that we disrespect people in that format. I don't think we're in that position. I don't think it should happen. And I'm more concerned about that than anything else. He would be annoyed, probably a little bit feelings hurt, and he would move on. But I don't think that's the message this body should send.
I take umbrage at your accusation that I'm beating up on anybody, including other board members that, I want this process to be clear and transparent and it to work. And frankly, it's not working.
Thank you.
When the DDA cannot have a quorum to meet several meetings in a year, that's a problem.
Would you
And
like-
that's the problem that I am trying to solve
Wonderful.
by removing a person who hasn't been there. That way you can get closer to a quorum. No disrespect is meant towards Mr. Junkaj. And I wish him the best of luck with everything. I just want there to be a quorum and for the meetings to occur.
Thank you. Mr. Raker, you had your hand up.
I was simply going to suggest, I think the point has been well made, and I think that it would brief much better publicly if the council member would consider withdrawing his motion.
No.
Okay. Any other comments?
It's a pretty weighty topic, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not completely up to speed, but this is an excellent example of something that should have been brought up 2 weeks ago, put on the agenda, and given all the council members a couple weeks to kind of mull this over. So I'm sitting here with really no background information, thus I will vote no.
Or it could have gone out in the packet, and you guys could have investigated it from Thursday till today.
True, but I like the public to have those extra 8 days in the interest of transparency.
I'm glad we're all on the same team. Michelle, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Look, could you read the motion, please?
Consideration of setting a public hearing at the next regular city council meeting, October 15th, 2024, to remove DDA board member Marty Jutha.
Okay.
Well, it's close, but,
It was pursuant to something too.
Well,
okay, close
the
enough.
MCL in there too?
Had you submitted
Usually-
it in writing?
We will have.
I mean, I can note that in there.
We will note it for purposes of the motion, obviously.
Couldn't write that fast.
Now, I will reiterate here, if I had the opportunity to present this motion and have it on the agenda, we wouldn't have this confusion. But I digress.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
No.
Councilmember Anderson?
No.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
No. That motion fails. We will move on to item number 9G, which was also brought to us by our Mr. Binkowski, which is he would like to look at our list of bills.
Yes, I have a question on bills being sent to PNC Bank. And I'm confused as to what the purpose of those bills are. There are about 8 of them, I think. They seem to be for seminars and so forth, and
That's payment for the credit card.
the credit card.
We have a credit card for those incidentals to purchase those things. For
Purchase what things?
the list of acquisitions under PNC, whether it was seminar or whatever it may be. It's the city's credit card, purchasing card.
So if there's a workshop for the MERS or MML conference, we'll register and use the credit card to pay for that.
Okay, is it possible to see who the actual payee, the eventual payee is on this, instead of just saying PNC Bank? I mean, to see where the money is going, because there's
Page are you on?
page 5 of the 12.
16.
I mean, there's seminars and workshops for $950, seminars and workshops for $213.99, membership and dues for $60, operating supplies for $850. I mean, it doesn't tell me or the public what we're spending our money on, or who we're sending our money to.
You said page 5.
This request's been made in
Oh, so right
advance.
here.
They would have
Gotcha.
come with backup data,
Seminars,
and this would have been an
workshop, membership dues,
extremely
operating
easy
supplies, community
transaction.
promotion. You're wanting to know who that exact vendor is per each one?
Yes.
I mean, I would imagine we can produce that for you.
I mean, doesn't that seem, I mean, we know what the vendor is for every other thing on here. Vesco Oil, operating supplies, we know where that money is going to. Uline, Department of the Treasury.
I would ask that you make a motion and your colleagues can direct the administration on this one, because this is additional work that is largely unnecessary. But if your colleagues want to support you on that, the administration will do it.
Move to direct the administration to break down charges on the list of bills so we know who the actual vendor is.
Support.
In regards to the PNC Bank.
Or any of them.
Councilmember Binkowski, how many line items did you find this lack of clarity?
Well, it's been in several of these lists of bills, but here it's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
So they're very generic, just saying PNC Bank.
Exactly.
But it does say the description of what it is, as seminar, workshop, membership and dues, operating supplies, community promotion, seminar and workshop. I mean, it gives a description.
And
it has a line number, a GL number where it comes from.
So how would that be able to be broken down on what we have for this document?
we'd probably have to develop another method of providing that additional information for you.
Okay.
Which is not going to change any of it.
So, Councilmember Binkowski, you feel that just saying seminar and things like that is insufficient detail?
Oh, I don't know what seminar it is.
Okay, so you'd like the seminar, maybe more elaboration on that?
Right.
So,
Do you also need to know what office supplies were purchased at Staples, just for clarification?
If it's at Staples, I know it's fine, but if it's
How
at
do you
PNC
know
Bank,
it's-
I don't know what
Staples
it
sells
is.
everything. Like, if you go to Staples' website now, you could pretty much buy anything. They don't just stick to office supplies anymore. So I want to ensure that the administration meets your needs according to that which you're asking right now. So how broad do they need to be? How specific do they need to be in your request? Let's make that extremely clear.
I'm just asking for it on this particular list of bills. I don't ask for it all the time. I wanted to know what this money's being spent for. And hey, and you know, that's my job here. That's our job here. We're controlling the purse strings of this city.
And just for clarity, the total does come to $4,262, so it's not a small amount, and I'm sure that's why it piqued your attention.
That's correct.
all 11 items totals $4,000?
$2,602.94.
How about this? I could provide the specifics for these quantities in the Friday report.
That's all I asked.
That's actually not what you asked, but I'll provide that.
I find it a little almost petty, the fact that, and this is $15.88. Seriously?
I was talking more about the $950.
Or the $1,578.
$1,578.04, but, you know, if it's $15, I don't care.
You should care. We are the holders of these purse strings for this city. Every $15 should count. Please don't be flippant about the dollars that we spend in this community. I ask that as a resident.
Councilmember Binkowski, do you have a specific threshold of number that you'd like to have?
$100.
Anything over $100?
Sure, under the PNC Bank. I don't think we're asking much here.
I think it is getting in the weeds. This has been the practice for years, well before I got here. And you've been here, congratulations, over a year. And so, well, no, coming up on a year, pardon me. So you've seen this roughly 26 times, and it's just now come to your attention, so.
No, it's come to my attention before, but I saw it and I saw some big amounts on it, and I'm just confused why we're paying PNC Bank. And I'd kind of like to know where the money's going.
I think it's a valid question. I think there's just a different way you could have approached it. You could have approached it a request to be provided during the meeting or for the Friday feedback, as opposed to us discussing it right here as seeming I gotcha, that's all.
No,
So
it's
we have a
not an I
motion.
gotcha.
Can
I just
we-
wanted, this is what we're supposed to do.
We have a motion on the table, may we go to a
Excuse
vote,
me.
please? No.
Excuse me, the discussion isn't over yet.
You've discussed, you've made yourself clear. Let's go to a vote, please.
Oh, okay.
So what was the motion, please, just so I understand what the administration might be getting into?
I have it as a breakdown of the charges on the list of bills for PNC to show the actual vendors.
And so it's not going to be in the report to council, but it will be in the report, the Friday report.
Sure, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle.
We have a motion, right?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Councilmember Shepherd?
No.
Councilmember Anderson?
No.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Sure. Okay. That did not pass. We shall move on to item number 10, which is unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? We do not have unfinished business, so we shall move on to item number 11, which is public comments for items not on the agenda. Would anyone in the public like to speak? Everyone looks extremely comfortable, so they don't want to speak. And we'll move on to item number 12, which is our city clerk's report. Michelle?
Only two things tonight. Just want to let all of our residents know we've received several calls. We are in the process of sending the ballots out. We're finishing up. They'll be in the mail on Thursday. So they should watch for their ballots this weekend. And also the temporary precinct change cards should be in the mail by Monday. So just give an update on those two things.
Thank you. Our city attorney's report, Mr. Nushai.
Madam Mayor, just a brief update. Council authorized that we explore options regarding the ballot initiative for amending the charter to permit marijuana establishment that we received. We have done so over the last few weeks. There were several options three options presented themselves to us. One was to join the ongoing litigation that we had spoken about. That litigation, Madam Mayor, included certain municipalities, obviously not us, and it had been going on for a few weeks by the time we became aware of it. However, there was an early decision by the circuit court, which was then appealed. And because there's an appellate process, it's difficult for us to, if not impossible for us to interject at this particular point in time. The second option that we had briefly discussed as well was to initiate new litigation. And I recall that at the council meeting, there were several of you that asked questions with respect to costs and what's the feasibility of this and what the cost would be. And obviously, there's some expense associated with new litigation, somewhat unwittingly, but a third option was presented itself to us all too recently. All along, I think I mentioned to you that an interested third party, by way of their attorney, had been in contact with us throughout the initial litigation with the other communities. That particular party has started a lawsuit that I believe it is appropriate for us to join. They've named obviously our city clerk as as a necessary defendant, and they're seeking the removal of the initiative from our ballot. I believe that will be a tall order for the circuit court to order at this particular point in time. Nonetheless, it will address the very concern that we had initially raised with council, and the council had responded to it by giving us this authority to go seek out there. So we will involve ourselves, we'll respond to the new lawsuit, and we should be getting a decision, believe it or not, fairly quickly and fairly inexpensively. So this particular new case will probably afford us an opportunity that will be fairly inexpensive and good to be able to get a decision out of. So I'll get you more information as the week. This is all too recent. It happened over the last couple of days. I think we're going to get you some more information by the next meeting, most certainly.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry, I didn't catch. So there was other communities that filed lawsuits, and that was settled against and then appealed. What?
Well, the way that it worked was that several communities took the approach of saying, no, we will not permit it on our ballot.
Right.
Those communities were all sued, along with their city clerks, obviously, in their official capacities. The judge issued, in the circuit court case, issued an early decision with respect to a temporary restraining order. That's an early decision that that can be granted.
Restraining them from not allowing it on the ballot.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And then
And that's the decision that's been appealed. So it's not a decision on the merits of the case. It's a decision, like I said, it's an early decision in the case.
Okay.
But because we're dealing with a court of appeal now, it's impossible for us to really involve ourselves at the particular litigation. This gives us a better option.
Okay, gotcha.
Nothing further unless you have any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Raker.
Thank you, Mayor.
City Manager's report.
As a reminder, the city follows the federal holiday schedule and will be closed on Monday, October 14th, in observance of Columbus Day. However, the Ethics Board will be meeting that evening at 7 p.m. in these chambers. We will be having an ordinance meeting at 6 p.m. before the regular council meeting on October 15th in the community room. It looks like we're overcoming some technical difficulties. So as I mentioned at the last meeting, I'd conduct a short walkthrough of the city's website hosting the Infrastructure Improvement Bond 2024 information. So as you see at the top on the splash page of the city's website, it says get informed before you vote. The Infrastructure Improvement Bond 2024 is on the November 5th, 2024 ballot. Read more, click that, and it takes you to all of our information. There's a table of contents. You can click on any one of those links and it'll take you to that, but it reads very straightforward, the information, the historical context. You scroll down, you can get an update on our current projects along with grant status. And then we have pictures. Everyone loves pictures. Before and after at Selfridge Phillips, which was the first project done on my watch. And then as you go down, there's more in regards to miscellaneous concrete, before and after pictures. And then there's historic maps of our efforts to date. And an explanation of the CCTV efforts, before and after pictures. And then an explanation of what's next and what our infrastructure improvement plan is, to include answering the who, what, where, when, why. There we have our list of, I think it's 37 prioritized projects. And then scrolling down farther, you also have them, how they would be funded financially through the bond should it pass. If you scroll all the way down, it is the financial calculator, and you can click on that. Takes you there. You accept. In the first box there, it's your taxable value. The average taxable value for Clausen is $85,000. And then that'll explain to you what it costs per, I believe it's day, month, and for the year. So, Penny, your questions, ma'am, council? That's my city manager's report.
I noticed today on the DDA newsletter that it says for the 150 North Main PNC property, the developers have completed a market survey and will be bringing the planned unit development proposal back to council for consideration. Have you received that market survey?
We do.
Can you please forward a copy of it to council members?
I plan on including it in the Friday report.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Raker. We'll move on to city council comments. Mr. Benkowski.
No comments for me.
Ms. Moffett.
I got nothing.
Councilmember Anderson.
No comments.
Councilmember Shepherd.
No comments this evening.
Okay, I have comments. I have comments because, Scott, I've been looking at you all night, and I just have to say, I know I said it earlier in an inappropriate place, but the Fall Festival was amazing, and you and Lisa Ball and all of your helpers were amazing, but you didn't do it alone, right? You said there are a lot of people involved. To all the DPW workers who were out there moving tables and making the grounds look beautiful and cleaning up before and after, thank you very much. For our police department, for engaging with residents throughout the event, thank you. For the Chamber of Commerce, for the Friends of the Library and the museum and all the people who showed up in as vendors or to provide services for people while they were there. Thank you very much. For the fire department, for that setting up a really beautiful fire. It got going really great. Unfortunately, there weren't a lot of people around at the time it was going, but it was beautiful. And as always, they come through for us, and they always do so cheerfully, and I appreciate that. Mostly to our residents, young and old, and to the many neighboring residents that came and spoke so highly of our community. This is what Clausen's about, right? This kind of stuff that happens here is important to get all of those things done. But I like to think of Clausen in the faces of the people who are appreciative and happy and realize the sacrifices that people make to get things done. And I personally just want to stay to remember that there's no weapon that could be formed against any of us that will prosper, right? And that we should never go weary in doing good. And I will just say that to all of us. Let's just keep that mindset going and let some of the other stuff just go. And I just want to tell Mr. Raker, Nick, all of you guys, thank you so much for all you do, for making this community something that we can be proud of, and for giving us opportunities where we can bring people together to kind of just let all of us shine. I put something out there about the Clausen Hallmark moment. Honestly, that's what this place is, right? It's the hearts and minds and hard work Trevor, you do it every day. You deal with residents. Sometimes they're happy, sometimes they're not. But you go and you do it, and we appreciate you. So if no one's ever told you thank you or we appreciate you, we appreciate all of you. And we appreciate each of you for serving too, and for the ones that do so with a happy, cheerful heart, especially. So I think we can call for an adjournment if someone wants to make that motion.
Move to adjourn?
Support. Roll call, please, Michelle.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, and tomorrow morning, there's a DDA meeting at 8 a.m. It will be held in the community room, at which time goals will be looked at for the upcoming session. So those of you who have interest in the DDA may want to come to that and either listen in or offer some suggestions if you have them. That's it. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good evening. Meeting adjourned.